Ladies and gentlemen, media, good afternoon and welcome to today's press briefing. Last Monday, when I delivered the budget address, I gave the people of this territory an account of my government's stewardship in managing the affairs over the past 3 years. In that address, I spoke about our many accomplishments, plans, challenges, and a vision to further development of our people and this territory. In explaining our economic performance, I announced that the BVI returned to positive growth in 2013, with gross domestic product increasing from 909.4 million in the previous year to 923.2 million in 2013. This growth was driven largely by growth in the tourism and construction sectors, with communication, real estate, and rental and business services playing a role, and accompanied by sustained performance of our financial services sector. I've laid out my government's fiscal strategy, pragmatic strategy, and implementation plan to further strengthen growth and secure our future. We are on the right track. We are vigilant in maintaining the buoyant economy of the BVI, the hard work and determination of people of this territory. We will continue to look after the well-being of our citizens, develop our youth, protect our national assets, and build a solid infrastructure. We will continue to improve the quantity, quality, and variety of work for our jurisdiction. We will continue to strengthen the BVI brand and steadily get back the level of savings in the reserves where we could borrow without having the United Kingdom look over our shoulders. Also, we will continue to make sure that our citizens enjoy world-class health facilities and treatment in the new hospital. We will continue to strengthen the education sector to meet regional and international standards to maintain the economy on the cutting edge of development and innovation. Furthermore, we will continue to invest in our network of roads, and we will work hard in building a proper sewage system. And we will work diligently with the situation we inherited to ensure that there is running water in our pipes. More importantly, we will ensure that our visitors continue to enjoy the tranquility and beauty of the BVI. And we will continue to work hard with the farmers and fishermen to help them to live productive, lucrative, and fulfilled lives. Indeed, we are moving forward and building a better Virgin Islands to strengthen growth, securing our future. I now turn my attention to the security breach at the banks. Within the past few days, the Visa debit cards issued by a couple of banks stationed here in the BVI had been compromised. Our banking regulator, the Financial Services Commission, has moved swiftly to address this problem, and as of this date, we can confirm that appropriate action has been taken to ensure that the requisite steps to safeguard the accounts of the customers of these banks have been taken. Some customers within the BVI have been affected, although as of now, it certainly appears that the numbers have been quite low. I'm also assured that the banks will take the actions necessary to ensure that compromised accounts will be reinstated to their correct balances. Ladies and gentlemen, the protection of the financial assets of the citizens of the society is of highest priority for this government. And we believe that each and every person in this territory who have accounts in the banks here must be assured that their deposits are always secure. It is also a fact that although the banks in the BVI are also very closely regulated, and although deposits in their main branches are insured by the likes of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, these deposits are not and have never been insured in the BVI. In the event, therefore, of a very unlikely event of a failure of a bank in the territory, the individual account holder is not protected from their financial assets, and the relevant bank being lost without direct cash injections to cover those losses by government. To address this matter, and also to implement a mechanism that would prevent a bank failure, and I've been doing this pursuing this matter for several years, government worldwide generally go a step further than mere regulation and implement deposit insurance programs. Pursuant to this, we currently now have in draft legislation to ensure the deposits of account holders in the BVI for up to $100,000 per account. This will happen through the establishment of a deposit insurance system, much like that of the FDIC and the CDIC, and is scheduled to be brought into effect late in 2015. Up to late last week, I held discussion with senior officials in the International Association of Deposit Insurers and the CDIC, with a view to having a Virgin Islands Deposit Insurance Corporation up and running. We are already associate members of the IADI. Lastly, my government continues to do what is necessary to build a thriving and sustainable financial services sector. On August 12th of this year, my government engaged a global management consultant to assist us with charting a new direction in the BVI financial services industry. Charting a new direction was as a result of financial services stakeholder meetings held earlier on in my administration. From August 12 to mid-November, the project team at McKinsey and Company facilitated the project committees, one of which was chaired by myself. The committees were made up of public sector representatives, a wide cross-section of domestic private sector practitioners, and other BVI international practitioners in Latin America, Europe, and Asia. The consultancy was undertaken in 3 phases, including a review of other work previously undertaken by the government of the Virgin Islands. The review is now in its final stages of completion, with concrete recommendations for a strategic vision for the industry and plans to sustainably build the sector. We are currently at the stage of considering the recommendations of the consultants and believe it is a good time to share the preliminary results with our key stakeholders. The importance of our financial services industry cannot be underscored. In this regard, the government of the day and the opposition of the day have always worked together to ensure this sector remains sustainable and prosperous. We are proud of this achievement, and we are committed to continuing this practice. We invited members of the opposition to a special informal meeting of the House of Assembly last week to share their preliminary findings, and having recognized that the wider public plays a critical role in the success of this industry, we held a public eye program to discuss the same. The interaction was indeed fruitful as members of the community called with thought-provoking questions. In the coming weeks, we will be finalizing the recommendations of the report, taking into consideration the feedback from all stakeholders. At the appropriate time, a copy of the final report will be made available. My government looks forward to the support of the community as we work together to secure our future. That's my briefing for today, and thank you. Happy to answer your questions.
Good afternoon, Premier. Beverly Lewis from ZBVI Radio. First of all, I must say that I am one of the customers affected by the security breach at the bank. My account was started out yesterday, but I've been told to continue to monitor it because even though I've been refunded, it's possible the money can come out again. Anyway, based on your discussions with the bank about this issue and in terms of the requisite steps that you spoke about earlier on, are you satisfied that everything is being done to give customers this peace of mind that their accounts probably wouldn't go through that sort of thing again?
I am satisfied. The Financial Services Commission has had discussions with the banks, and they have been assured that no one will lose any monies deposited from their accounts.
Melissa Edwards, BVI Platinum News. Premier, in relation to the borrowing of loans, and you mentioned just a short minutes ago that the government will, in relation to the UK, having the UK watching over your shoulders. I need you to clarify something for me. In your budget address, you indicated that the reserve fund will reach to a level by 2017 where this will not be possible, where the government has to go to the UK before borrowing a loan. Is this a much later date than what was said before? In your first medium-term fiscal plan, I think it was 2015, and if so, if the deadline has been pushed back, so to speak, has the UK actually approved that, 2017?
Yes, in my first medium-term plan, it was 2016. We have decided to move it back to 2017 because we recognize that there are some infrastructural things, particular roads that need to be looked after. We, of course, had this discussion with the British government, and we are both in agreement.
Okay. This is in relation to your budget address also. In relation to the custom regime, the decision to reverse that. Is this an indication that the government, the NDP government, is admitting that the benefits and so on was not passed on to the consumers?
No, that's not an indication at all. What it is that during the time when there was this recession, we thought it was useful to assist businesses to be able to be more efficient in their business and also to pass on the savings to the customers. This has been going for how many years? About 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And so it was never meant to be something indefinite. And so it is time to call a halt while we introduce other measures to continue to stimulate the economy.
So you think that the prices might go up again, given that this has been halted?
I do not necessarily, because what has happened is that the stimulus was to enable to assist the businesses through that period. I think that the economy is really turning around. As you listen to the budget address, you would have heard that the GDP has gone up significantly, which is an indication that businesses are improving, turnaround. And so I would expect that they should be able to continue to make progress.
Just one more follow-up on that. Do you think that it's time for an effective consumer body to police pricing in the territory? A consumer body?
I think that is something that has been discussed, and I think it's something that needs further discussion, but there's some need for some such body, I agree.
I just have a follow-up to Melissa's question. It has to do with the same issue, Premier. I think I would have asked a question to you about that quite recently, about the increases at the supermarket. Are we to brace ourselves for more price increase? Because when the merchants, they got an ease, we rarely felt the benefits, if ever. So are we to brace ourselves now for price increases at the supermarkets more so than what we're experiencing right now, much more higher?
No.
Certain about that?
That is my impression now. You should not have to brace yourself for any further increase.
Premier Sean Rose, JTV News. A quick question on the proposed action to protect the accounts of BVI residents in the various banks. You mentioned $100,000 would be the cutoff point. Why 100,000, and what will this protection really offer?
What it would offer is that your saving up to 100,000 will be guaranteed. You would not lose that. 100,000 is a figure was chosen because most people average around in the population would be, that's the kind of deposit we'd expect them to have. There would be people who would, of course, have a whole lot more than that in their accounts, maybe in terms of millions, but those people would most likely be able to have other methods to ensure those amounts.
And a second question, but on a different matter. You mentioned that there will be a revision of the work permit structure at some point. When will this be done? How soon? And will this lead to increased work permit fees?
This is ongoing. It's not completed as yet. There will be some changes in fees. There will be lowering of in some cases. There will be increase in some cases. It will be done based on the job description, based on the salary structure of individuals.
So you're not...
I cannot tell you exactly what it is right now. It's been worked on.
And any particular time frame for us to see the full completion of this restructuring process?
It should be completed within the next few months. Yeah.
So by early 2015, maybe March thereabout?
By early 2015.
Premier, since the government decreased the number of rooms required for hotel aid from 10 to 3, how many local businesses, tourism establishments have actually benefited from this particular process? or if at all, have you seen an increase in the requests coming from the various hotel establishments?
I know for a fact that many local businesses have taken advantage of the change in the legislation and have benefited. I cannot tell you in terms of numbers, but I know for a fact that many have benefited, have processed those forms.
And as tourism minister, you are quite confident that this is helping the local businesses to strengthen the local tourism product?
Oh yes, certainly, because as you're aware, many of the local businesses are smaller, and therefore were not benefiting from the hotel aid when there was a requirement for a minimum of 10 rooms. This was the reason for instituting this particular program.
Good afternoon, Premier Kathy Richards, Virgin Islands News Online. As Sean is already on tourism, it reminds me of the little issue that seems to be boiling on the sister island of Virgin Gorda with the tourist office there, tourist board office there. There is this talk of budgets being taken away from the office over there, and everything is being managed from the Tortola level. Can you speak to that for me?
That's a matter for the tourist board. They are the ones who control the finances of the officers in that particular sector. We in central government gave them a grant, an annual grant, which they manage in a way that seems most appropriate to them. I cannot at this moment tell you how, if they're taking any management from Virgin Gorda or Anegada or wherever, but I know that the board is comprises of serious business people who understand management and will do what is best for the country.
Okay, this office falls, tourist board falls under your office. And
Correct,
you
yeah.
have been hearing any complaints of this regard?
I listen to what the board and the chairman, what they tell me, and when they report that these things have happened, then I will take notice. Until then, you hear many things, and but you've got to get it from the horse's mouth before you can believe it.
Okay, so it hasn't come from the office, horse's mouth yet to you. Okay.
Premier Malika McPherson, the Island Sun newspaper. You spoke about the banking sector, and therefore I want to ask a question. It's in relation to the banking sector, but not dealing with the issue you mentioned. The Scotia international body announced that they're going to be making cuts across the Caribbean. And I know that the institution is operating here in the territory. I really wish to put this question to you because I regard the Barclays situation and how government paid attention on how, if cuts were being made, how it affected persons in the territory. So I'd like to know if you inquired and what you were told as it relates to persons operating at the Scotiabank BVI office.
When you speak about cuts, I think what was said was that they could be closing some of the branches in the Caribbean. And as far as I know, the BVI branch is not one of those branches. The other thing, I think the Scotiabank here in BVI is not directly affiliated with the Bank of Nova Scotia in Canada. So there is an indirect relationship. So it may not be affected. But that's as far as I know. And as far as my office knows, there has been no other communication. I do not know how many banks will be affected or which banks they are in the rest of the Caribbean. Just what I, learned from the news reports.
So you did inquire?
Yes.
Okay, and another question. It was noted as well that the ferry debacle, I tend to say that because persons have various views on how the industry is operating as it stands and the key role it plays in tourism. You mentioned it in previous one-on-one sessions here with the media, and it was noted that you didn't mention it in your budget address recently. Government has any further news on how they plan to assist the operators to better service this area?
We have offered assistance to the ferry operators, and some of them have taken advantage of the assistance the government has offered. In the meantime, as you would probably have observed, there's sufficient carriers to take passengers between the United States Virgin Islands and the BVI at the moment. We will continue to monitor this situation, and if any further intervention is necessary, then we will do so.
Premier, what is the status of the QE2 Park, the Queen Elizabeth Park? What's happening there?
Work is progressing steadily on the QET Park at the moment. At the moment, they're completing the lane of the walking running track surface, and I can tell you from the air it looks good. I am told that by Christmas it will be partially functional, and then work will continue next year to complete the rest of the project.
And what about other infrastructural projects across the territory? Is there enough activity to generate that sort of cash flow so that 2014 Christmas could be a financially successful and bright one for many residents?
I think if you took a look around, you'll observe that there's quite a significant amount of activity going on in the territory. There's a cruise dock right next door. There's the Switch project, which is going on in the East End and Longlook, and East End, Longlook areas, and in Road Town. There are the CDB projects which are ongoing. There are other projects, other minor projects ongoing. So it's actually, the level of activity is very high now considered to even the past several years.
But you will appreciate that the opposition does not agree with you, and they have said that, one, they're going to test the figures you presented in the budget, and two, what was presented in the budget does not reflect what's happening on the ground.
Well, I can only tell you what you should be able to observe with your own eyes. If you looked around, you will observe exactly what I just related. This, of course, as well as the work that's going on the outer islands, particularly in Virgin Gorda, Mosquito Island, and so. So there's a lot of activity going on. What more can I say?
Premier Smith, your government has tabled 3 audit reports, I think. When are we going to see when the audit on the hospital will be tabled, and have the government received any audit on Bywater? I think you had mentioned the new hospital will also be audited. So I'm just asking, when will that be made public? How soon? And have government received any audit on the Bywater?
No, those have not been, no audit has been received on Bywater. No at the hospital at the moment, no.
Premier, I want to get back to projects if I could. Can you tell us what's the latest on the Prospect Reef Development Plan?
At the moment, the Prospect Reef Development Plan is on hold. We had gone through a process where we selected a company to continue its development, but that company has not taken up that offer at the moment. They're still waiting to determine when to move forward. We are, of course, reviewing our options, and we'll come to some decision very soon as to further direction.
Does it seem likely that it will go out to bid, or?
I cannot tell you exactly what will happen right now. The persons who were given the option have not said we're not interested. It just, the matter has been delayed. So we have to review that as well as future options for the property.
And then one more, if you guys don't mind. At GIS Day recently, some of the National GIS Committee members were mentioning the National Addressing System. And my understanding from what they said was that basically one holdup at this point to get our National Addressing System implemented is cabinet approval of a street naming regime. Can you tell us where that stands in cabinet?
As soon as it is brought to cabinet, a decision will be made.
Okay, so they're saying it's ready to go to cabinet, not it's waiting on cabinet approval.
As soon as it gets to cabinet.
Okay, thanks.
Premier, we are approaching elections 2015. Is your administration confident that you will be in government after that election in 2015?
what we are confident about is that we are working on behalf of the people of the British Virgin Islands to improve the economy of the country so that everybody in this territory will be better off. Once we do that, then I'm confident, and the people understand what we're doing, then I'm confident that they will support this government.
So this begs this other question. Are you happy that people are satisfied with what you're doing? Because there seems to be some negative publicity on the ground, not just opposition views.
There will always be negative publicity in whatever you do. But I think once we, as a government, are sure that we are doing the right thing, based on the promises we made, based on the feedback we have with the majority of people, then we are comfortable. And we are satisfied that the people understand. And once they can see that we are working towards improving the economy to benefit everyone, then I'm sure, as I said, they will support the government of the day. Yeah.
One more about the election, if you don't mind. Last time, well, maybe not last time, one of our previous one-on-ones, you mentioned that the previous elections report from Ms. Penn at the elections office would be forthcoming. Do you feel that the report is going to be ready and made public in time to make any recommended changes before election time?
Yes, I'm sure it will be ready.
And
they will make the changes. One of the changes we've been speaking about for a long time is about electronic voting. But again, that is something still has to be decided when it will be introduced. But it will be at some point, but I cannot tell you exactly when at this point in time.
But as far as the report being ready, any idea?
I can't give you a time, but I know it's been worked on. Yeah.
Okay, we'll allow one more question and then Premier will close off.
Premier Smith, the airport expansion project is one of the signature projects of your government, but it was the debate on that project continues to wage in the public forum. And last night in a radio program, it was suggested that even if the project goes forward, cost will continue to be a factor as it relates to tourism and tourist arrival. Do you agree that this might be an hindrance to the whole overall vision that the project started off with? And secondly, it was suggested that maybe subsidies to local aircraft and airlines and service operators be introduced and injected by government. I know last month, one of the local airlines began doing a sort of a hub run from Antigua. Can you tell us how that has been going?
I cannot tell you the numbers of people that they're carrying or the number of flights, but I know that is a subsidy in place for that particular operation because we want to make sure that the passengers get here effectively and efficiently from Antigua. As far as the other question, of course, yeah. We have been going forward very carefully with the airport project because we know it's essential, beneficial to the continued development of the tourism in the BVI. At the moment, we are reviewing the options of financing, and currently, one of the options is considering what is called a PPP, a public-private partnership, in which case, once that is done and it's done effectively, then the cost will not be a significant factor for government.
Clarification. In the reference to costs, they were stating that tourists don't usually come through the airport because it's too costly to fly to the BVI, and it's cheaper to fly to the USVI. And as such, even if there is the runway extension where that can accommodate these large jets, persons might still be hesitant to travel, so we might be back in the same situation. Just to clarify. Can you address that?
Okay. The reality is that before the pullout of American Airlines, many tourists came through on the airport in Beef Island, significant amount of tourists. The alternate route to the USVA has developed as a result of the loss of that carrier between BVI and Puerto Rico. And so once we develop the ability for planes to land from Puerto Rico again and even from the U.S. mainland in Miami, that will give us quite a boost and I think an advantage. And it should not be, the cost should not be prohibitive once it's done properly.
Okay, at this time, Premier will give you his closing remarks.
Good. Well, I just want to thank you for coming. I have promised to give regular updates. I know I haven't done so for quite a few weeks, but now we're going to reinstitute those updates. And because it's important, I think, to allow you to know what the government is doing for the people of the country, because that's the only way that I believe you can actually fully represent what is being done, what has been said. So I want to thank you for coming, and I'll do my best to keep you informed. Thank you.